Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of TFG Radio. Tonight we have John, not on the wheels of steel.
No.
Danny.
Hey.
Myself as always. No Tom this week, because Tom has his 100 kids. We are recording on 4th of July Eve, so I'm assuming he has to get his arsenal of fireworks ready. I can't remember if Pasadena. I don't think Pasadena allows fireworks, right?
No, they don't.
Oh.
No, definitely not.
They allow them where I live, so.
I have a neighbor, well, because where I live they're illegal too. But I have a neighbor who literally has a sign with the city ordinance being like, "Remember, fireworks are illegal in the city of Los Angeles." And this place, I mean, in New Year's sounded like fucking Fallujah. So I can only imagine what it's going to sound like. And it just makes me laugh with this person basically advertising they're the one calling the cops on everybody.
Right.
Or supplying, maybe.
The bold move, Cotton.
He's throwing everybody off by supplying the fireworks.
I mean, it's not a bad idea.
I mean, I've only lived in cities that allow fireworks, so I've always had. There was one year where my family had illegal fireworks. They only did it once, but it was a lot of fun. I could see the appeal.
One
Hell
year.
yeah.
1 year.
Only one. I'm sticking to that story.
Yeah. Well past the statutes of limitations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't me. It was my parents. We even had a homemade mortar to launch some of them.
What?
Hell yeah.
You had to. It's the only way to launch them. It was the best. The best.
God.
Anyway, it's been a few weeks. It's part of tonight is the ACO Atlantic City Open recap. Real brief recap. We weren't able to do it last episode because we had the Pariah Nexus drop literally the day of that we recorded. So this is just a recap of ACO for myself. It wasn't too bad. Going to ACO, I took a red eye, so I was very tired and grumpy when I got there. The venue's always nice. It's a casino, so they have a club, they have a swimming pool. I had more helpers this year than last year. We had a 200. I want to say it was in the 220s. It wasn't as many as Cherokee. Cherokee actually had more people this year. But it's still over 200 people at the event.
Nice.
And this year we did 8 rounds total for everybody instead of 6 rounds at a top cut.
Okay.
So, and out of those, on day 3, we still had 169 out of the 220 something still playing that day. So,
Wow, that's pretty good.
That is pretty good, yeah.
I expected only being like 100. So it was still, it's still a good number that stayed. A lot of questions that came up, a lot of the same questions that came up it was funny enough, were answered literally less than a week later by the new FAQ with the Pariah Nexus stuff. So
Nice.
a lot of it was about the grenades, falling back and using the grenade. Some of the terrain issues. We did have issues with people not setting the terrain up for their next round of players, but and then people being upset because of that. There was some armies.
Are you going to red card the previous people on this table because they didn't set up my terrain?
We did have I did have to talk to a couple people because their armors weren't fully painted. One person only had a primer and then a shoulder pad and a knee pad painted.
That's 3 colors.
Yes, but we're trying to move away from that. For LSO, I'll probably have to come up within the next week of like basically examples of what each stage looks like and what we're looking for. So
yeah,
if you're listening to this, look for that fairly soon, or watching this. But other than that, it wasn't that bad. We had actually, so what we ended up doing is the 8 rounds, because we were selling, I believe it was 256 tickets, because that's the maximum you can have going 8 rounds, and then have one undefeated winner or one undefeated player. What ended up happening, what happened was we had so many draws that we had one true undefeated at the end of round 7.
Mm-hmm.
We had 2 true undefeateds and then 2 technically undefeateds because they both had a draw, and the draw was against each other, so they couldn't play each other again in round 7, and they had to play. They had a down pair.
Interesting.
I'm thinking I maybe should have just up paired both of them into the true undefeateds, but that wouldn't have necessarily guaranteed.
It wouldn't necessarily solve your issue.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, hindsight's 20/20. So,
Sure.
So the end of the day, we ended up. It was one undefeated, true undefeated against the one with the draw. So it was Blood Angels versus Necrons. And the Blood Angels player was Jesper from, I believe it was from Sweden. And it was War Games Live was doing the stream.
Cool.
And if you can find the game, I believe it's called like Match of the Week or Game of the Week or whatever. You need to watch that game, because at one point around turn 3, I think it was, the Blood Angel player is like killing everything, kills the wraiths, because he's able to snipe the character first and then put all the attacks on the wraith so they don't get the bonus save. Starts killing everything. Eventually, he goes to kill the Silent King. Kills the Silent King. Silent King proceeds to explode and does 30 plus mortal wounds to the 4 units that's surrounding him.
Amazing.
So it basically flipped it for the Necron player, and he ended up winning. A winning best general and the tournament with that. There was a couple other clutch saves, but that was the key. I think that was the key moment. Something about Necrons and being on stream. First it was the Monolith at LVO, and now this at ACO. So
they perform well to an audience, Brandon.
I guess. So yeah. So it was.
But that's a talent unto itself. Not everybody's got that talent.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a talent. Yeah, so it was a pretty good flip, pretty good game. Like I said, overall, it wasn't too bad. Nothing that I can recall that was out of sorts. The venue's always fine. I enjoy it. We didn't have too much problems. They did have the combat juice that seemed to everybody like. I think it was a rum, some other stuff, local rum. And but it was fun, Came back tired on Monday and getting ready for LSO. With the Pariah Nexus drop, we went over. Danny, Tom, and I went over the Pariah Nexus. But so far, between the 3 of us, I think all of us had at least one game, maybe more. I think Danny's had a couple more. But I think the biggest thing I noticed was the pivot. John, it didn't matter to you in any of your games, right? Because you're just knights and you just walk over stuff.
Yeah, and I wasn't playing I wasn't playing any armies where the pivot thing would come up, so it didn't really matter.
Well, how's walking through walls now?
Amazing. Yeah,
the
it's
way
pretty
it should
amazing.
be.
It's the way it should be, and it goes from being like, I'll play this army because like I know it, to I'll play this army because it might actually be decent.
Did you suffer any of the battle shock when you did it?
I had but I because I could get closer easier, my opponent suffered a lot more battle shock stuff because I was causing a lot more tests to be taking and things like that.
Right. Oh, because you're playing Chaos Knights. Yeah. Because
I'm playing Chaos Knights, yes. So that was a good bonus. I enjoyed that.
How was the So how was it being pure knights with the actions and battle line and all that other stuff?
It's pretty easy. Being able to like do an action and still shoot with the big knights was good. I took enough little knights still that I could be like, well, this guy will just do an action. It's fine. I don't need to worry about it.
You didn't feel like the loss of like, because it was just one little guy, right?
Yeah, it's just one little dude, so whatever. Yeah.
Danny, you playing bugs or demons?
Bugs. I mean, I'm playing my bugs, but I played against demons.
Oh, you played against. That's right.
Yeah, corn demons. Which was funny because the last time I played, a version of that list, same player, Josh, I gotten pretty whomped, and this game I won, mostly because of the secret mission.
Did you actually use
Uh,
it?
yep, and it's gave me a huge boost, believe
Nice.
me. Yeah, I really think it's important at this point that if you're building a list, you have at least one secret mission that your list can do, right? That is feasible for it to manage. Because, we were both scoring really low on the primary to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to go from like, oh, I'm going to score like 25 on primary, like max, to, oh, I scored like 40 something on primary because I got that 20,
Yeah.
or, yeah, scored, it was really, really helpful. I scored like, 30 something instead of like low 20s was
Oh,
huge.
okay. Yeah. Because max
Yeah.
you'd get is 40 on that.
Yeah, so like that was really nice. Really, really nice. And I have not run into pivot because I'm playing nothing that pivots. Oh no, I mean my Maliceptor does have to pivot, but he just goes in straight lines, so that's
Just
not
goes
too
in
hard.
straight lines.
Yeah, like my list has a Maliceptor and a Norn Emissary, and they stay right next to each other because their job is to go to the objective that my Norn claims as theirs. And so the Norn is, OC 15, T11, 16 wounds, 4 plus invulnerable state, 5 plus feel no pain while on that objective. And then the
Okay.
Maliceptor is the aura of -1 to hit, and if you're below half strength, -1 to wound. So it just becomes really hard to shift the Norn off it, especially in
Right.
melee with the Maliceptor babysitting him.
Okay. Yeah. So far, it's been. I've played. I played the one game with Jeff so far. I'm still trying to schedule my league games for. But afterwards, Jeff and I talked about it, and I think the plan, like Danny just said, is to plan for using the if it's allowed, it to use the secret missions to play on that. And what I mean by if it's allowed, I mean if it's allowed for Champions Cup, which is what all three of us are practicing for essentially at this point.
Right. Yeah.
So because they didn't allow gambits at WTC, and I don't know how closely, and so I'm not sure if WTC is going to allow.
His gambits are so overpowered.
Well, at least with the secret missions, they're so swingy. I don't know if the captains, because it comes down to a captain vote, and I don't know.
I know. I'm just saying the gambits were.
Oh,
Nobody took gambits.
Yeah.
Nobody gambited. Did. Ever.
Now everyone's going to
people who did lost every time.
Yeah, and now everyone's probably going to at least have the secret mission in their back pocket in case they need it. But what? Yeah, so I don't know. So assuming they allow it for Champs Cup, we were talking about how I should practice for it, at least to use it, but the issue I think I might have is because the way my army works is that it scores early and then try to hold out long enough so that I either get a slight win or draw or slight loss. So my concern is by turn 3 I might actually be ahead, so I can't use the secret mission.
Right.
And so I guess I have to actually keep track, because a lot of times before I wouldn't keep track of the score. I'd let my opponent do it, but I may actually have to keep track now.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do it then if you're gonna plan on maybe gambiting.
Yeah. So we'll see how that works out. I mean, it's just gonna take practice. In terms of knowing when to gambit, if I need to gambit, things like that. So I mean, again, the game with Jeff was very telling. I dropped a few things, changed a few things, and then with Pariah Nexus out, I had to drop another couple units. I do have units that do pivot, which are the Predators, but they don't. They just cost 2 inches every time I pivot. That's not so there's no question. The issue we're having, or the issue that we're seeing, is that one of the caveats to pivoting is that if you're a monster or vehicle and you're on a round base, you're not charged the 2 inches when you pivot.
Right.
So that's a big deal for vehicles, not so much monsters, because for a lot of the vehicles you measure to the hull or the base, whichever is closer.
Yeah.
So because of that, and because of the way the charge sequence works, and for those that either don't know or don't understand why it matters about that pivot for vehicles with round bases, is the charge sequence is essentially you select a targeted charge, you roll, and then you measure how far they can move.
Okay.
What normally happens is what everyone usually does is hey, I want this unit to charge. Okay, let's see how far he needs to charge, and then you roll. The measuring part is actually not in the rules itself. It's just a convenience we have so we know what we have to roll. You're supposed to just roll and then measure to see if you make it.
Yeah, I'm still not seeing the problem with this.
There's not a problem. It's just a problem of how everyone thinks of how the charge phase works, or how they think it works, because of the way we've been doing it for so many years. So that's where, like, for me initially I had that issue because I was thinking that we measure before we roll, but you don't. You measure after you roll. So you do the pivot while you're moving, which is done after you roll, or it's done after you measure, which is after you roll. Where right now, for ease of use, we usually measure before just so we know how far we need to go.
Sure.
So now we just have to remember to take that pivot into account, because some people were pushing against this pivot benefit because they were thinking, well, you got to measure before you roll so you know what you need to roll. But that's not how it works. You roll first,
right? And
the roll tells you how far you get to go. So if I have a rhino, let's say, that's sitting sideways, not a rhino, but a let's say devilfish, wave serpent, raider, Tantalus.
But don't wave serpents and devilfish have round bases?
They have the round
bases.
the flying bases, and the flying bases are round. So
got it.
Yeah, that's why it's an issue.
Got it. Okay, interesting.
Well, we don't know if it's an issue. As far as we can tell, GW really hasn't said anything. Just
it's a perceived issue.
Yeah, so we'll see if it really is an issue, because Tacoma and LSO are the same weekend, and then I think that'll be a big tell, especially Tacoma, of how it's being used in tournaments. It's
not a bug; it's a feature.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, it gives a couple of inches. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that's too good in close combat that it matters. I don't know if you guys can think.
Close combat?
I'm trying, except for getting into combat, to type something else. I can't think of a vehicle that is such a monster in close combat.
No. There aren't any.
That it really matters.
Well, that's on a round base, but it has a longer hull that can exploit.
No, that's what I mean. But how much? I mean, yeah, it makes a big difference. But I mean, if it was something that was like godlike in close combat, I guess it would be more of an issue.
Yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. There might be something.
But I guess just getting there, the extra movement to tie people up, or just to get where you need to go, things like that, I guess is big enough. But we'll see. And many times you roll high enough where they can get in anyway. But so we'll have to wait and see. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes, and go from there. So. But other than that, the other big rule that I see a lot is, it's just the pivot. That's really all it is.
I mean, it is the biggest change by far.
It's more of an addition than a change. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's still new. It's only like a week or two old. So we'll see what...
Do Huge.
Speaking of fireworks, people are already starting to set them up tonight. I can hear them.
Well, I can't hear them yet.
Hell yeah.
It's been pretty quiet in my neighborhood for some reason. I don't know. Usually it's not like that.
You're cracking down on them?
Maybe. I don't know.
More white folk moved in?
Hey, no, we like fireworks.
Yeah.
What the heck?
No. Where I live, it was mainly a white neighborhood to begin with, so it's more the other way around. You have to remember, I live out further away from LA than the rest of you guys.
Oh, wow, they're really going to town. Hell yeah.
I don't hear it.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Oh, I don't hear it.
I could hear it a little bit through my headphones, yeah.
I'm just used to ignoring Danny.
Yeah, that's fair. Most people do.
Yeah, so speaking about Pariah, the Pivot, and LSO is coming up. So with Pariah Nexus dropping, what I ended up doing, instead of just going through all 300 whatever questions I received over the year, the first year of
300,
something like that. It was a lot.
Oh god.
300 asked. I'm not. A lot of them were duplicates. So, but it was still a lot. What I ended up doing was just basically just wiping it all clean and just redoing all, starting from scratch. So a couple of the big questions was about the wall tactic.
Oh yeah. You guys still defaulting to WTC?
I don't know yet. Right now, no. Mainly because nobody's asked.
Well, now I'm asking.
Yeah, but that's you though.
That's fair.
Not official. I don't know. I feel like only because GW basically answered it, and the answer was no. And
wait, answer was no. What?
They asked if hold on, let me bring it up real quick because I actually have it up, and it's like one of the last questions they answered in regards to the terrain. Where's that? Here it is. For a purpose of the mission pack, are there any amendments to the core rules regarding how ruins affect charging units and which models can fight? And the answer is no.
Okay.
But then there's a designer's note that basically says if you want to change it, you can.
Okay.
So it's no, but maybe.
But yes.
That's not the first time they say that. I think there was another question where they said the same thing. So yeah, so I don't you know what, I don't know yet. I kind of want to leave it for now just to see how it goes, and because it's actually in the packet, and I think at least for one tournament, Games Workshop would want to see how it's actually played. And again, because it's Tacoma, and because it's Tacoma and LSO that same weekend, it's a larger pool than normal to like see it played at.
Fair.
So I'm more inclined to just leave it for now, and just see. And plus, WTC hasn't updated their FAQ yet.
Right.
So yeah. So I don't know. I think I may just. I'm thinking of just leaving it. And there was one more thing, and I already forgot what it was in regards to like what we used to do and and what we're going to do going forward, but I can't remember right now.
That's fair.
So, but that was a big. The ruins thing is a big question on a lot of people's minds. I've already seen a few people asking in the different groups, but I tend to not answer questions in groups.
No, that's not a good idea.
If I can help it, because
just causes more problems than it solves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but the judge in this chat said this, and then no, I had the official dude say this.
Yeah. So we'll see. So. Yeah. So if if you're going to LSO, even if you're not going to LSO, just drop a line in the. It's the same form as we've been using before for any questions for this edition, and I'll get just to get it answered, and I'll get that answered as soon as possible. Especially as we get closer to the event, because the event's only like 3 weeks away.
And if he doesn't answer your question, it means it was too dumb to warrant an answer.
Or it's a duplicate. We get duplicates.
No, I like my answer better.
Let me see. Hold on. Actually, no.
My version of events is better.
The tournament's in 2 weeks. And that's sad only because I have to go back into the office when I get back from LSO.
Nah, boo.
Supposedly it's temporary, but we'll see.
Allegedly.
No promises.
Yeah.
So I'll probably post reminders. I'll try to get the examples of the different levels of paint up by the end of this weekend. That way people have an idea of what we're talking about when we talk about what standards.
No more primer, painted one shoulder pad, painted one knee pad.
Yeah, and hopefully because there's a large gap between July and SoCal Open in October. I think SoCal Open will be full battle ready.
That'll be good.
That way, because LVO is definitely going to be full battle ready. And for LSO in round 1, me and the other judges are going to walk around the venue, looking at everybody's armies at everybody's table just to make sure it's battle ready.
Nice.
Or at least what the standard we want for LSO.
Mm-hmm.
Which is going to be more than 3 color, but not battle. So in between 3 color and battle ready. So no bare bases. But we don't need it to be like full GW type bases, just
right.
So, although to be honest, if we go that way, it's more or less battle ready at that point.
Yeah, right. Like basically,
we'll see. I mean,
may as well just go whole hog.
I don't think we'll pull models. If anything, we'll just dock the 10 points.
Right, you just don't get the painting point.
Yeah, that's really all it is. I mean, one person was that happened at ACO, and the person was upset about it, but that person also apparently didn't read the painting standards for the event. So
get good.
So I'll hopefully have examples, because I know that's very subjective, and it's better just to give an example of what we're talking about. That way, people know what to look for or where they need to be at, in order so they can be ready for it. And also the fact that they're not going to be given the 10 points, and depending on what's like, if it's just like either bare plastic or primered, I may just pull the models. If it's just the 3 dots or 3 basic colors, then maybe I'll just not allow them the 10 points. It really depends on their attitude, to be honest. Like, I'll just do the 10 points. I mean, and if they give me attitude or whatever, then I'll just pull the models, because
my friend, don't be a jerk.
Basically. So that's that. So looking forward to LSO. It's my first time there. I didn't go to the first 2, so 3rd time's a charm. And funny enough, we'll be back there like 2 months later.
Playing.
Getting to play.
Nice.
I'll be playing CSM. John, you'll be playing your knights. Danny, you'll be playing
Chaos Knights. Chaos Knights. Not Imperials.
I'll be playing Tyranids unless we need to run Imperial Knights too. Then
we're not running Imperial Knights.
Why?
Because we want to
win.
win.
I can make a decent list.
You can't make a decent list with Imperial Knights. Otherwise, John would be playing Imperial Knights.
I don't know. They have the higher win percentage according to meta something or other.
Yeah, but we've also been hearing things about that they're better in a team environment. So the Chaos Knights. So I don't know who to believe.
I'm gonna run them because I want to.
There you go.
That's fair.
I think that's all. That's all we're doing. Yeah. Otherwise, one of us would be taking Blood Angels.
Are they actually that good?
Yes, Blood Angels was in the finals for ACO. That was before Pariah Nexus, and Pariah Nexus didn't do anything to Blood Angels. They stopped them from using one strat twice. That's it.
Do we know anybody who has Blood Angel?
We have to.
Not off the top of my head. I mean, we can just find
but
somebody.
Also, like,
with
in a team tournament format, though, sometimes having the really good medalist is not necessarily the best idea.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we just need someone with a Silent King that can make sure it explodes.
Well, that's true.
But,
I don't know how we make sure of that, but that's true.
Weighted dice.
Easy. Yeah. There's ways for
Whoa,
that.
whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We don't cheat on this podcast. This is a Catholic podcast.
That just means we do other things that are really bad.
Yeah.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Just go to...
We're a post-Vatican II Catholic podcast.
That does not help. That might actually be worse.
Hey.
Oh, man.
Talk to my attorney.
Oh, man. Okay, well. We'll see. I mean, we know we're not going to win anything, so we're just there to have fun and play games, really.
This is true. My entire reason for going is to go have fun.
Yeah. In between that is our local tournament, Hammer Wrath. That's in August. This year it will be at the Squad Marks HQ. If you're not familiar with Squad Marks, they're the guys that make the little plastic pieces that fit onto your bases, and you color the little tabs on it, and you can differentiate between your different squads. Like for me, that's going to have 50 cultists in my list, so I can tell them all apart.
Why are you the way that you are?
I was told to play that list. I was told to play Deceptors.
That's fine.
I mean, they said it was okay.
If you're being a good boy and doing what you're told, it's fine.
They said I could play Renegade Raiders, which is probably the best one out of all of them right now. But Deceptors is the one where you can infiltrate the up to 3 squads of cultists and 3 squads of legionnaires. So we're going to do that and see if that works. And it's also the one that has the strat that lets me auto explode enemy vehicles.
So like the Silent King.
So like the Silent King.
Nah.
The problem is I don't have a lot of anti-tank. I just have 3 predators. So, but I have a lot of bodies, so we'll see if also depends on the matchup. So hopefully these practice games will help me refine the list. That's why I joined the league. So I'm playing Deceptors. Once we're done with the Champs Cup, I may switch to Renegade Raiders. That way I can advance and shoot my guns.
Seems good.
So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure after Champions Cup, I'm going to switch to Knights of some variety. Just so I'm not playing, like, a bunch of infantry. Yeah.
So.
Fair.
Like I said, Hammer Wrath is before that. There is a golden ticket at stake. We're playing at Squad Marks HQ, which is in Cyprus, which is just south of Knots, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, just south.
Look, it's actually in an office building. And there's like a hotel across the street and a bunch of food and places, like a shopping center.
So are we going to medieval times while we're doing the tournament?
I mean, we could.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
We could.
Hell yeah.
Let's go to the pirate one.
I was
been
just
to the
at
pirate
medieval
one.
times.
They're all right there.
You haven't or have?
I haven't. I've never been to the pirate one.
Really?
I've done both with summer camp. I've never done either as an adult.
What's funny is that to me the pirate one is fairly new.
Oh God! I mean, I went to the pirate one years ago with summer camp. I took them there. I assume the show is very different when it's a mixed crowd instead of just kids.
Yeah, a little bit, but I think it's at least the medieval times is more like what you see at the Ren Fair.
Yeah, I'm sure.
except dinner's involved.
They probably don't do their anti-bullying spiel
No.
on the regular nights.
So for Hammer Wrath, we are giving away a golden ticket. For Best General, Best Overall is getting a LVO 40K Champs ticket in the High Roller package.
Fancy.
Ooh. And then Best Painted is getting one of the FLG Army
case.
Army case, yeah. I forgot what it was called.
I got it. I got you.
The Army case. There'll be other prizes for other people, but those are the three main ones. And if you've never been, like I said, it's in an office building. It's fairly unique, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty big. It's pretty big space inside.
How many tables max?
Huh?
How many tables max?
I put 60 players, but he can probably fit. His main room is I think he said 20 tables, and then there's a room next door that's not being used or it hasn't been rented out yet. And that could probably hold at least another 20 if we needed to. So, but I capped it at 60. I mean, if we need more, we can get more.
Sure.
Right now, I think it's at. I want to say 30, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, that was better than prior to Pariah Nexus.
Well. Prior to Pariah Nexus. God damn it, Danny. We're at 27.
I feel like there were other issues than just Pariah Nexus.
Or
maybe not. I could be wrong.
I mean, we haven't talked since Pariah Nexus, and we haven't been on in a while, John. But I think you mentioned in one of our chats how, at least with Pariah Nexus, you felt better with the game or at a better place with the game.
Yeah, I felt like it was actually a good game again, whereas I was not happy at all with the state of the game prior to that.
Well, that's because you're a night player.
But no, even like playing the Eldar, because I was playing Eldar at the beginning of, what is this,
10th last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely enjoying 10.5 more. I like 10.5 better. Which this is totally is, by the way. The amount of pink changes they made is definitely, this is 10.5.
Yeah. I think most people agree.
Yeah.
We're at 10.5.
Yeah, you don't get to disagree with that opinion because it's the correct opinion. It's now facts, no longer opinion.
Do you think part of it, John, is because you don't judge anymore?
Part of what?
Your enjoyment of the current edition. You don't have to worry about that stuff. You just play. Or were you always able to separate that?
I was kind of always able to separate that, yeah. It wasn't as big of a deal. I definitely enjoy not having the burden of having to stay up on everything. That is nice. I can be like, cool, I'm not playing, so I don't have to care. Instead of being like, oh man, I still have to care because it's going to come up in a month and a half when I have to go judge some event.
Danny, how are you feeling so far, even though it's only been like 2 weeks?
I mean, I'm kind of with John of, I mean, I was still playing. I think I was playing the most out of
all of us. You and I think Tom were playing. I was like completely checked out. I think John was too.
I was. I mean, I was also doing all that work for school, so.
Yeah. John had real life stuff too. But no, I mean, I'm enjoying it. I still haven't played against Knights, especially with my champions list. So that's something I want to try and schedule against John because I feel like it's a hard counter to my list. So I want to see how bad it goes. But no, I like it. I like the return of actions. Although it certainly hurts smaller unit count armies that aren't Knights because, you know, you have to have chaff, basically. You have to have action monkeys again.
Right.
And they have to be at least OC1. So, you know, that kind of matters. But I like it. I again, especially as Tyranids got mostly significant boosts. So, it's nice to see my favorite faction be a little stronger. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a much better, cleaner system. The missions are mostly the same, but still, a little more refined, a little more balanced. I like the secondaries a lot more now because there's a lot more of oh, you can't do this. If you can't do this, draw a new card, rather than just like, haha, get wrecked, nerd.
Yeah.
And there's still a few.
Yeah, that is much better that way.
Yeah, there's definitely still a few missions that are like, oh man, if you draw this late game, it's a easy mission. If you draw this early game, you're fucked. Right? There's still a few of that, which doesn't always feel good, but I feel like it's less. There's less you draw this, you're screwed type of thing. There's a little more. You can generally rely on scoring.
Yeah, that's generally good for the game, right? I mean, I think most people would agree on that.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think it's, like I said, I think it's better. I think it's definitely player friendlier. It's just, it changes the game because it's 10.5, right? Like you absolutely, my list does really well because it has a bunch of disposable units, right? Like I rarely have to worry about, okay, who's going to action, who's going to do what.
Yeah.
But, when I was playing Josh and his demons, especially because I took out what would be, they can't because they're nerdlings, they can't do it anymore, but I took out a lot of things that he could use as action monkeys. And so, towards the end of the game, I was like, well, I need to do this action, but I also need my Bloodthirster to continue tabling Danny. And so it just became that thing of like, well, I either try to table or do the actions to score real points. And that wasn't a good thing for him because, yes, his Bloodthirster and Scarbrand were kicking the shit out of me, but they weren't scoring points.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I think that's going to take some getting used to. I think some armies suffer for that.
Mm-hmm.
Some don't. And it's just, it's a slightly different game, but I like it. I think it's, I'm actually pleasantly surprised with GW and how well they've adapted after a year out to make the game feel fresher, and address some kind of like, some things that weren't ideal.
Yeah, there was definitely stuff that needed to be addressed, so it was good.
I just really want to play Knights because I want a Kool-Aid Man now.
Aye.
Kool-Aid Man is fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody got Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I've mentioned in the past where I was just not feeling 10th edition after the first few months. With the Chaos Space Marine book out, I became more vested in the game now that I had a proper codex, and I kind of liked what I saw. And it wasn't AdMech level, but at the same time it wasn't like Necron level either. But so I kind of liked where it was at, and then I think Pariah kind of pushed me more closer to playing, especially with because Chaos you can do MSU, but it's usually just cultists. You can do Legionnaires, but you can get more with cultists than with Legionnaires, and I kind of like the Deceptors list, or I like the idea of the Deceptors list. I don't know if it's actually good, but I think in a team environment, it doesn't need to be good. It just needs to be good enough.
Yeah, I think it's good in a team environment. I don't think it's a list you could take to a tournament and expect to.
Well, I'm going to take it to a tournament because I just need to.
Well, a non. Yeah, well, that's fair.
I need to practice. That's the only way I can.
Yeah,
practice.
You need reps.
That's true.
So, and even then, it's I'm going into a tournament. I know what I'm expecting out of it. So it's not that big of a deal for me. I think that so I like the changes. I'm still iffy on the pivot thing on my end. I kind of don't like it. It just seems
just because
unnecessary. I don't know why they couldn't just give everybody a blanket 2-inch pivot. And any non infantry or any vehicle or monster. I don't know why they had to do the exception of round bases for vehicles or monsters. I think that's the only thing that bugs me because of the charge thing. But we'll see what happens. I mean, like I said, we'll play it as is. And
Could be a
It
non-issue.
could end up being an entirely non-issue.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It could be just an internet thing of everyone just going crazy because of the potential of the abuse, but it could be one of those cases where there's nothing at all.
It'll probably just be one of those things everybody yells about on the internet, but in reality, it doesn't matter.
If that's the worst thing out of that packet,
Pretty good.
yeah, it's fine.
True.
But that did stand out to me when I read through it the first time. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
10.5 definitely feels pretty good.
We'll see how it plays. I'm curious to see what if the changes to AdMech are enough to allow it to rise from the bottom, dredge it up from the depths.
It's been a while
Premier
since we've had a
grades.
0.5 too, isn't it? Like 3.5 was the last one. We haven't had like a half edition in a while.
Trying to think, 8th edition maybe?
I don't think so.
Not that drastic.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know how GW is. They're not going to say it's anything 0.5.
No,
but
they
it's-
never do. I'm surprised they say 10th edition now, or any number
Yeah.
edition. They used to never do that.
Yeah, just
I mean, at some point, it just becomes ridiculous that you're not using the same terminology as the entire player base for your game. You know, like,
I also don't believe they recognize any other miniature gaming company or system outside of themselves.
no, I don't think they do.
That's why they are the hobby.
yeah.
Right.
They only recognize it when they borrow ideas from it.
Borrow?
Speaking of, other big news besides our enjoyment of Pariah, it really only matters to me and maybe Danny.
Yeah.
First bit of news is AMG and Asmodee announced that they will no longer develop Star Wars X-Wing or Star Wars Armada. For those that don't know, X-Wing is basically the small ship flight game. Think Aeronautica Imperialis, but for Star Wars. If you don't know what that is, I'd be surprised because you used to see it everywhere. Now you don't see it anywhere.
It used to be in its heyday, at least at the old Game Empire, outsold 40K at one point.
At one point, according to some estimates, it did outsell 40K.
What? Armada?
X-Wing.
X-Wing.
Oh, X-Wing.
And then 2.0 happened, and that essentially killed the game. From what I understood, AMG was not very keen on getting those games given to them because they did not ask for those games. They were just given those games. And the other one, Armada, is basically Battlefleet Gothic, but it's Star Wars. It's actually a pretty good game, but and that was on life support for like 2-3 years, like after COVID. So
That's too bad.
that getting shelved is not a big surprise. They are still supporting the tournament scene, but only until Worlds, which is basically until Adepticon of next year. So after Adepticon, everything will probably be fan supported, and we'll see how that goes. So the other thing, which affects Danny more than me, is that War Machine is no longer shepherded by Privateer Press. I believe they sold the rights to
They
Steam.
sold everything.
It's all the War Machine and War Machine adjacent games and stuff.
Yeah.
I forget. There's a couple board games or something that Privateer Press can produce that's not War Machine related.
Yeah, level 7 or something like that.
So nothing. So and apparently they'll still be making the models. But in terms of producing the actual game rules and things like that, that was sold to Steam Forged Games. And for those who don't know who they are, they live off of Kickstarter. Basically, kickstarting all their games. They used to do licensed games. But more importantly, they had a little game called Guild Ball. Which and this is why a lot of people are nervous about it. Because Guild Ball is essentially Blood Bowl. But it's only humans, essentially, which I find boring, which is why I never played it. It's very popular. It became very popular, and then it was very successful for them. to the point where they decided that they didn't want to produce the game anymore.
Yeah.
So they
This
killed.
is too good. We have to stop.
Yeah. So they killed their golden goose. The community luckily kept it alive on their end, and now they decided to. Hey, we're back. Hey, your deadbeat dad's back.
I finally got those cigarettes and that milk.
Hey, I hear you're successful. Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah.
Right. Can I share in some success? Hello, kids.
And here's your new wife, War Machine. Here's your new mom.
Oh, man. Oh, boy.
Oh my god. So I don't know. I don't follow Guild Ball, but only from what I hear. And I don't know if the player base is happy or not about one that Steamforged game is getting Guild Ball back. And they're probably happy because they get now official support, but now it's
somebody's going to do something with it, yeah.
But now it's like, well, what are they going to do with the rules? Are they going to, have they changed them? I'm not familiar with it. If anybody is, you can let me know because I am curious. Is Steamforged game changing the rules? Are they using are they doing like what GW did initially when they brought Blood Bowl back? They got the rules that the fans made and kind of modified it a little bit, but essentially used those rules. Are they doing that, or are they doing their own completely different thing? And for War Machine, they already announced they're doing a Kickstarter for War Machine for the RPG. So, Danny, what are your thoughts?
I think it's interesting.
As a War Machine player.
Yeah.
Former.
I mean, a former War Machine player, yes. I actually remember...
Recovering. We use the term recovering.
A lot of War Machine people went to Guild Ball when War Machine kind of started dying. Because it was seen as like the good tournament game, clean rules, right? Like, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know how they're going to react to having both of these things back in their lives by the same company that kind of screwed them. I mean, I just think that the reality is you should always be really cautious of any game developer that essentially relies on Kickstarter, right? Like that means that they're just generally funding the production of the game with, what is Kickstarter, but basically a giant pre-sale, right? And that's how they've used to fund the thing. So
you would think,
yeah, you would think. So I mean, the War Machine IP is really cool. I never thought that was like the weakness of the game.
I agree.
Right? Like the world they created is really interesting. There's a lot of room for nuance and fun stories and fun narratives. So if they can actually make a good game out of it, great. I mean, and again, this is their new reset of like the War Machine mentality, because for tournament players, especially in the doldrums of 6th edition, right? Like War Machine was this great, like, Warhammer 6th edition, right? Like War Machine was this great tournament game that was really well supported, very vocal, very active, a company in the scene, et cetera, et cetera. But I've said this before, they made the flaw of thinking that tournament players and competitive players are who keep your game alive, and they did nothing to develop the the narrative and the hobby side, and just the sandbox side. And that's, if they can address that issue and maybe do kind of a culture reset of, hey, this is a fun game where you get to tell stories in this really beautiful elaborate world, then making your own warcasters, making your own jacks, right? Like, then I think they could actually be okay. But I don't know if they're going to do that, right? Because that's maybe with a new company, that's, who knows. And then there also has to be the reality of, I wouldn't trust Steamforged games. Like, they close stuff because they just don't feel like doing it. And they're relying on Kickstarter. And so if they have one bad Kickstarter, does that mean the game just ends? That's not...
Who knows?
I sincerely believe that I think one of the reasons Games Workshop is so successful at this point is they eventually just hit a critical mass where even if you're like, I'm not having like with 10th edition or 10.0, like I'm not having a lot of fun with this game. I don't feel like this is the best version of this game, but you didn't have the fear of, is this game even going to be here next year? Is this game going to be here in 2 years?
Right.
Right. You pretty much never have that fear. And that's something that if you're going to spend thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours of your life building and painting and developing, you kind of want that stability, right?
Yeah.
Of, well, this won't matter.
Like I can take a break and feel perfectly fine because like it's not going to be gone.
Right.
I can come back to 40K 10 years from now and it'll still be around.
Some form, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the...
Yeah, so, for example...
I think that's the problem.
Like, I'm at Steamforge's website, and they literally have a page that is dedicated to our crowdfunding campaigns. Yeah, and it's like, it's all licensed stuff. Like, here's Dark Souls, Resident Evil 2, God Tier, was apparently was actually a good game, but has no support. Horizon Zero Dawn, Devil May Cry, Resident Evil 3.
Jesus Christ.
Monster Hunter, Resident Evil, the board game, RuneScape, Epic Encounters, Euthia Resurrected. I don't know what the fuck that is. Rivet Wars, which I'm familiar with because it's a board game that was produced by someone else. Another Monster World one. Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, Street Masters. I mean, it's all licensed products, and that's all they produced after they dropped Guild Ball in the beginning. So
are these board games or RPGs?
Yes. I think it's a combination of both. I think it's both.
So that makes me worry because a board game is something you can kind of fire and forget. Same with an RPG. If they're going to, I mean, like maybe they're just going to do, what is it, Iron Kingdoms
I think
RPG, and that's it. Because I have all those books, and they're actually a really fun RPG system.
I think in their initial announcement, they mentioned that the first thing they're going to do is kickstart a Iron Kingdoms RPG book. So
yeah. I mean, if they're just going to do board games and things, that's sad for sure.
No, I think they're still doing private, War Machine because Privateer Press is still producing the models for War Machine. They sold the rights
right now.
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah, but the thing is, like, if they sold the rights to the IP, what does it matter if they're producing models if they're like, well, we're not going to use these models, right? Like, we're just doing RPG systems. Or, cool, you can use these models from Privateer Press to do this board game.
I guess.
You can do, especially since the Privateer Press switched to, like, the STL model.
Right. And I think that's what Steamforge is doing for their Guild Ball teams, is they're selling STLs in addition to actual models.
I hate to say it, like, because it just sounds mean, but like, at the end of the day, that's kind of broke boy behavior, right? Like, that's we're not going to invest the money to manufacture our own shit, right? Like, we're not going to invest the money to have a manufacturing base. We are just going to put this all on you. This is the cheapest way we can do this. Right, which makes me think they don't have the capital as an actual functioning company to do this. So all it takes is, one bad thing, and they're like, well, okay, cut our losses. And it's like, if you really invest into an IP or a property, that sucks to have it just be like, oh, never mind.
Well, as long as they produce the P3 paints, and that way I can get my brown ink, because I use that for my basing. So
fair.
Do they still make a really good white? I remember for a long time their white was like really good.
The
Duncan Rhodes is better.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I hear good things about the Duncan Rhodes, and then Cold Black is still a good black if you want more like a rubberized black, so to speak, like in hoses and stuff.
Sure.
Travis told me that when in regards to like the parts in between in the back of the knees and on the elbows of the Space Marine armor.
Yeah.
Right.
He uses Cold Black. I don't know if he does now, but back then he told me to use Cold Black from P3. So as long as they bring back P3, keep that going for a little while longer, so I can stockpile more ink.
Right.
then I'll be fine. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, to me, like, it's almost like a death knell, I think.
Yeah, I feel like it's just Iron Kingdoms and all that will just go into the bin of how many failed Kickstarters or minorly successful ones that just sit there.
I have more hope in like somebody picking up the Star Wars X-Wing Armada licenses than I do the War Machine one coming back. So
yeah, I don't know how you messed that up, man.
well, they messed up Star Wars by doing 2.0 and pissing off a lot of people, and they messed up Armada because they just never supported it. You have to remember, AMG were given these things, were given these games without, they didn't ask for these games. Asmodee's like, here, you're now in charge of these. So,
right.
So it's not like they wanted to. From what I understand, I could be wrong, but from what I understand, they did not want to be the caretakers of those games, and they were developing Shatterpoint in separate from that. That's why Shatterpoint is similar to Legion in terms of like they're kind of the same, but they're not. The rumor I heard was that they're going to make Legion more along the scale of like 40K to separate it from Shatterpoint to make it that much different.
Oh wow, that's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a lot more models, so that's fine. Hey, if I get an AT-AT, I'm good. I mean, I have you can't see it, but I have the Super Star Destroyer, so all I need is an AT-AT for that. But and my Hoth army will be complete. So we'll see. But yeah, so Hammer Wrath coming up, Champions Cup after that. SoCal Open is not even on my radar, and I'm already preparing for LVO. So if you haven't bought LVO tickets, make sure you buy them because the 40K Champs apparently is over 80% sold.
What?
Already. So and there's a lot of stuff going on that I don't know about, but everyone tells me it's exciting. So people in the know tell me. So yeah. So I think we'll cut it off there. Little short episode. Now that just as a catch up. Hopefully everyone's enjoying the Pod Save the Imperium uploads. Someday we'll do more, but we got to get through the backlog first, which will give us time to like maybe record some more, but we'll see.
Someday.
That's right.
I will probably put out another video in regards to LSO with reminders like I did for ACO. I'll probably do that next week, and that will be next week's update. And then the week of LSO, I'll put up the Pod Save the Imperium. And then the week after LSO is when we'll record our next episode. So in 3 weeks. Put it on your calendar, John. Make sure your kids aren't doing anything.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Oh, man. That's all right. You'll be done with that once they're out of high school. In another, 8 years?
7, I think. Yeah. 7 years.
Then you have too much time on your hands.
I would welcome that problem.
I don't think there's anything else. I'll probably remember after I'm done.
Yes, you will.
Danny, any parting words for our listeners and viewers at home?
Play games, be nice to each other. As always.
John, it's been a while. I think it's been like 2 months since the last time you were on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably something like that, right?
Anything you want to impart?
Yeah, half editions tend to be pretty good.
Well, if you're a Chaos player.
3.5 was good in general, I always thought.
3.5 was more of a... yeah, because there was a lot of updates to, like... They updated the Space Marine. I remember Dark Angels, Dark Eldar. I think those were the 3 main books that they did, like, a second edition of for their codexes.
Yeah.
Because their first codexes were so shitty.
Yes.
But, yeah. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. When I am at events, I usually also put up YouTube Shorts just to show everybody who's there, how crowded it is, things like that. So keep an eye out for that.
YouTube Shorts. Why not the TikToks?
The TikToks. Because I don't have TikToks, and
what?
It helps us more on YouTube, on the algorithm for YouTube than it does on TikTok.
Why you don't have TikTok? That's what all the cool kids do.
I never said I was cool.
I would say, we are neither cool nor children, so...
Shoot.
My wife says I act like one sometimes, but I don't think that counts.
No, that doesn't count. I know from experience that doesn't count. Told on multiple occasions it doesn't count.
So don't forget to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Tell all your friends. If you're going to any events, make sure you're listening to this channel because I usually have something to say about those events for good, the good and the bad.
Oh yeah, I have things to say.
John has things to say. I know you weren't here for the good ones either.
Yeah.
I know, it sucks. Whatever. It happens.
Well, one day.
One day.
So good night, everybody, and have a pleasant tomorrow.